The proof in the pudding, or how the fudge is made, or how the fudge is made. Hello everyone, and welcome to the triumphant return of Local Man Tries for 8 minutes, aka Piranha Bytes. If it's your first time here, what we generally do is we run through the issue 1s of the week and any other significant issues I can think of, along with any new graphic novels that I get on the shelves. Starting off strong with Marvel, Avengers and Moon Girl one-shot. This seems to be part of a little series of Moon Girl one-shots. I don't know why for the life of me they don't just give her her own book, but it is what it is. Avengers, X-Men, Eternals, Judgment Day, number 2 of 6. First issue of this really caught my attention. Kieran Gillen's definitely trying to give it something special in terms of Marvel events. I'm excited to see where he takes it next. Captain Carter, issue 5. This is the last issue of Captain Carter. The story is done. You can rest easy now. Just kidding, she's probably going to be in another comic book very soon. Ghost Rider, Vengeance Forever, one-shot. I'm 99.9% sure this will tie into the main series he has going on right now because it's written by the same person, so why wouldn't it? And if it follows the trend of Punisher War Journal Blitz, it will just be an outtake story from that series. So yeah, if you're picking that up, pick this up too. Giant-sized Gwen Stacy one-shot. This is basically a graphic novel. Look at this is huge. An interesting idea to give her her own little, well, I don't know, it's not little, it's definitely not little, her own one-shot. I don't really know where they're going with it, but I'm excited to find out. Miss Marvel and Wolverine one-shot. It's my boy. There's a series of these one-shots coming as well, which, funnily enough, feature these characters, so I'm guessing they're going to form their own little series. Again, why aren't you just doing it as its own book? We'll never know. New Fantastic Four number 1's second printing. I know quite a few people missed out on the issue 1 if you didn't manage to pick up a copy but continued from 2 onwards. Now's your chance. It's been over a year in the making, but it's finally here. Predator number 1. This was supposed to come out sometime last year to go with the Alien title, but it just never materialized. So we have it here now. I can't lie, it looks a bit mad, you know. I'm kind of into this. Didn't they already do an X-Men Legends number 1? So X-Men Legends number 1 relaunch. Roy Thomas is writing it this time, so a big legend of the comics industry. If you liked the previous run, or you're just a fan of vintage X-Men, give this a whirl. Moving on to DC now, we only have one number 1 this week. But oh boy is it a big one. Deceased, War of the Undead Gods, number 1. Or Dethreest, if you will. This issue's mad. This whole series is mad. But this issue especially is mad. I've loved every single bit of Deceased I've read so far, and this issue was no exception at all. If you're a fan of Tom Taylor, if you're a fan of Deceased, if you're a fan of good comics, pick it up. Do it. Also, the cool-ass X-Men homage variants don't hurt at all. From AWA, Sacrament number 1. We're big fans of Peter Milligan here, so seeing him do a number 1 is always fun. This one has a rather intriguing premise about religion in space. From Dark Horse, Hellboy and the BPRD, Falling Sky one-shot. They really do like pumping out these one-shots for Hellboy, don't they? Maybe they only keep doing it so people like me who only really talk about issue 1s will keep talking about them. From Dynamite, 007 number 1. We're getting more James Bond, boys. This one is being written by Philip Kennedy Johnson, though, who's responsible for the Future State Superman stuff and the newest Action Comic stuff, and that Alien comic that everyone's been loving recently. So I've actually kind of got high expectations for this one. From Image, Love Everlasting number 1. If there's one thing that comes to mind when I think of Tom King, it is definitely not romance comics. And yet here he is, trying his hand at romance comics. With Elsa Charretier on the art, I do actually have quite high expectations for this, because I very much enjoy her work. If you haven't checked out her book Infinite Loop, I highly recommend you do that. It's fantastic. It's going to end in tragedy, isn't it, Tom? It's almost like we know how you play. From Titan, Blade Runner Black Lotus number 1. The Blade Runner comics have, so far, been pretty great. Let's hope this one's not an exception. Moving on to graphic novels that I've got in this week, we did actually have quite a big Marvel restock, so I'm just going to go over some highlights from that. Hawkeye Kate Bishop, just a little mini-series focusing on Kate herself, almost devolves into like an Agatha Christie murder mystery type thing. It's really, really cool. I highly recommend it. Heroes Reborn, not the 1990s stuff. Nobody needs that. This is a book about the world being changed so that the Squadron Supreme are the only superheroes that have existed in the Marvel Universe. A very, very interesting concept, done in a really interesting way. The Speedster issue in here, which I think is issue 3, one of the best single issues I read last year. She-Hulk by Dan Slott, Omnibus. I'm halfway through this, and I'm telling you now, I'm having an absolute ball with it. It's fun, it's quirky, it's everything you'd want from an early 2000s She-Hulk comic. Guest appearances abound, just make this an absolute pleasure to read. Editor Dave here, realising that I forgot to mention my favourite thing about the book. So my favourite thing, hands down, is the fact that they've brought Marvel Comics, which are published accounts of true events in that universe. They've brought them in as legal documents on several occasions in this book. That's so cool to me. I love that idea. Back to the video, I guess. Star Wars Obi-Wan and Anakin miniseries complete collection. So I've actually been trying to get this one in stock for a while because it's been out of print for a while. I wonder why it's back in print now. I wonder. I haven't read it yet. I know the artist on it is fantastic, and Charles Soule is probably the best Star Wars writer we have going right now. He just did his 100th script for Star Wars comics, so he must be doing something right. Bit of a special one, this, actually. X Lives and X Deaths of Wolverine. Bit like House and Powers of X, they're two miniseries that run alongside each other that tell one whole story. The hardcovers we have in of this, these beautiful, beautiful hardcovers, are actually the direct market variant of them. So this cover, this beautiful cover, is exclusive to comic shops. So if you want one of these, hurry up, because I only got a couple. Some little bits from Dark Horse as well. True Lives of the Fabulous Killjoys, California. This is the first book in the tie-in to the fourth My Chemical Romance album. Yes, they wrote comic tie-ins to the fourth My Chemical Romance album. These are actually some pretty damn good books. They are supposed to be promotional material for their music, but Gerard Way has done a fantastic job of writing these characters. This book gives off a very Blade Runner-esque vibe, a very almost 2000 AD-ish vibe, and I highly recommend them, and its sequel, National Anthem, as well. Definitely recommend them both. And because the Gerard train don't stop out here, Umbrella Academy Library Edition Volume 1. This is the only Volume 1 I could get. I tried to get the paperbacks, I promise. But when the hardcover looks this good, why would you want them? And last, but by no means least, from Image Comics, Pulp hardcover, The Process Edition. So this is the original graphic novel about the struggling author in 1930s New York, but it is also a summation of the entire process that Brubaker and Phillips put into writing this book. So you've got their detailed story notes, you've got sketches that Phillips did for the characters and for the settings. Every person that wants to write comics, they need to read something like this. They need to own something like this just to see the full process that goes into it. This is a damn cool book. So that's everything from me this week. If you like what you've seen, please like and subscribe. Lets us know that we should keep on doing what we do. I'll see you next week for more brand new comics.
Piranha, white, white, white. Piranha, 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 white, white, white. Piranha, 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 piranha.